I think banking in general can be, at least opening a small business can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
It has never felt that way working with Bremer. Our business wouldn't exist without an SBA loan. Bremer swooped in, held us under their wing, and walked us through it. And we ended up getting everything we needed. Bremer sees us. I mean, like, really sees us.
They're our cheerleaders behind closed doors, and who knew it was going to be our bankers?
I know, right?
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive and encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity, designed for more than just therapists. If you are a helping professional in any way, Diversity in Clinical Practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author and speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on how to respond when others are too culturally sensitive. So, as the country continues to wrestle with identifying whether or not diversity will be seen as a threat or something of value, I continue to empower one relationship at a time, both personally and professionally. In my efforts to do so, I periodically encounter someone who expresses cautious openness, as well as open frustration regarding whether cultural caution is even necessary. Often I hear some version of this: Lambert, I get what you're trying to do, and I appreciate the help. My goal is genuinely not to offend anyone, and your way of doing so is a lot more positive than any other ways I've tried, but I still must admit, a part of me still wishes that none of this was necessary. I mean, can't just being a good person be enough? Why is everyone so sensitive these days? Now, as is my continued promise, I will answer any question motivated by a genuine desire to understand. And that's what I heard here, not a frustration motivated by a desire to harm, but a longing for a motivation that was legitimate enough to justify the effort. The following considerations are what I shared in response to this legitimate inquiry about what to do with too much cultural sensitivity. Consideration number one is this: recognize that some people are too sensitive, but for good reason. What do I mean? Well, first consider the physical pain someone might be experiencing after a significant injury. If you even touch their wound, the amount of pain they would experience will be based in part on the severity of the wound. Sometimes the severity is based on how big of an impact it was. Other times, the severity is based on how many times someone experienced the same or similar injury. Nonetheless, after multiple significant injuries, the injured area might be so sensitive that even the smallest touch might generate significant pain. This is what I think of when I hear people expressing frustration. Why is everyone being so sensitive? All I said or did was fill in the blank. The question is reasonable because of the genuine lack of desire to intentionally harm someone, making the expression of pain and response so confusing. The question also indicates a lack of understanding regarding sensitivity. What looks like sensitivity based on an unreasonable and unattainable universal behavioral standard is often a personal expression of emotional pain, following words or actions that somehow reopened a closed wound or pressed on a never fully healed wound. Since you can't know everyone's past wounds to guarantee that you won't accidentally reopen them, the best thing you can do is to start with learning as much as you can about common wounds that have impacted many people, even communities of people. The more you learn, the less likely it is that you'll make the big mistakes. And you can get better, even better at it when you start learning how the wounds got inflicted in the first place, which also brings a sense of empathy and renewed desire to avoid looking or sounding like those who inflicted past wounds in the first place. Now, this inability to know every possible hurt leads to consideration number two. Some hurts are so uniquely personal that you couldn't possibly know in advance, but it's how you respond that counts. You see, some hurts are so influenced by personal experiences that even things that you've done previously, not only often in general, but often around people with similar backgrounds or experiences as the person you hurt. And still, you look up and find someone expressing something to the effect of, how could you be so insensitive? Sure, a common first reaction is to respond with righteous indignation and say, first of all, I didn't do anything wrong. You need to point that attitude somewhere else. Unfortunately, that's exactly the thing that often they can't do for a variety of inconvenient, emotionally legitimate reasons. Sometimes you reminded them of a past hurtful experience, but the person who hurt them is no longer available for them to confront. Sometimes it occurred so long ago, but the hurt remained unhealed, but not for lack of trying. No matter the case, spending time identifying the rightful object of their ire is their responsibility, not yours, making expended energy in that direction a waste of your time. Not because the person you hurt isn't worth your time, but because it's not only not within your power to control, but could be seen as disrespectful deflection from the hurt you inflicted. But all hope isn't lost. Because as I mentioned in consideration number one, you don't have to take ownership of the pain producing wound that preceded your action. You only need to acknowledge the reminder pain that you contributed to and emphasize your intent to avoid causing similar pain in the future. Your acknowledgement of their legitimate pain while also distancing yourself from the threat of future re-injury has the potential to turn a pain producing event into a supportive relationship. But before you can accomplish or sustain this, you should also do well to embrace consideration number three, and that is to be sure to also work on being less sensitive to the sensitivity of others. I know it sounds odd, but hear me out. Sometimes we can encounter so many experiences of being told that we were being insensitive to others that it results in our being too sensitive to others' sensitivity. To help you see it, hear this. You might be too sensitive to other sensitivity if you've ever been informed that you unintentionally hurt someone and instantly became overwhelmed, expressing something like, oh, come on, here we go with this again, before taking the time to understand what pain was actually felt, why, and what may be needed or done in order to reduce the likelihood of future re-injury. Now, let me be clear. This overwhelming feeling, motivated by a sensitivity to others' sensitivities, is also a valid feeling. If the shock of unintentionally hurting others generated internal hurt, and if effort was made to reduce the likelihood of future hurt, but you were still unsuccessful, then it is perfectly reasonable to feel overwhelmed as if all of your efforts are futile. However, again, all hope isn't lost. Just because what you tried was unsuccessful doesn't mean the challenge is impossible. I speak frequently about learning to accept the inevitability of offense because we can't possibly know and avoid everything people will ever experience as offensive. However, it's still possible to learn strategies for reducing the frequency of those inevitable experiences such that they are few and far between. So much so that instead of overwhelmed when informed of an unintentional offense, we can acknowledge and validate them and use our saved, not overexpended energy to not only learn something new, but instead help the person we unintentionally hurt rebuild trust through our considerate response to their sensitivity and emotional pain. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you will be able to create some grace room for others to be sensitive to unintentional offenses. Not out of a sense of futility or resignation, but out of an increased understanding that people have experienced different forms of known and unknown pain. And you can't tell someone how much pain they should feel or for how long. What will be more helpful is to own the unintentional impact of your reasonable actions and then continually reassure people in action that we are not the threat they fear we may be. And in doing so, both they and you can feel less of a need to feel sensitive one day at a time. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Do podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address in an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free or empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know of anyone else who could benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged as well, or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share it with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
What's this North 5 game?
It's a $1 Minnesota-only lotto game.
Wait, what?
Yeah, drawings are daily.
Wait, what?
It also features Easy Match. So for an extra buck, if your Easy Match numbers match any of your draw numbers, you can win instantly.
Wait, what?
Plus, you can still win the big jackpot by matching your North 5 number, so you can win now and win later.
Wait, what?
North 5 with Easy Match. Win now, win later, whenever.
What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.